All right, man. Well, hey, thanks for coming to help us film We Say Things today.
Yeah, dude,
Colin.
it's an honor.
We're excited about the Star Wars episode.
I love Star Wars.
Yeah,
so
me
I'm glad
too.
you guys
So-
helped me in.
Nerds.
Hey!
Hey!
We spent a lot of time on
Hey!
this. Come on, dude.
Shakalaka, shakalaka, boom, shakalaka, shakalaka, see the boom.
Hey! Guys, we're back! And it's guys.
And it's guys.
Do it's guys, do you know what day it is?
I do believe it's Friday.
It's
It is
Friday.
What's Friday?
The 18th, Star Wars Day.
Yay.
Listen, if you're watching this before you have watched Star Wars, you stop it right now and you go watch Star Wars and then you come back. And because we're going to talk about Star Wars.
Not that we're gonna spoil anything.
We're not going to spoil
No,
anything.
we wouldn't dare
we
do
wouldn't
something
do
like that.
We
That
are.
would just be mean.
We are going, in case you haven't noticed, we are going to be talking Star Wars today. We're very excited. Before we get into that really quickly, we do have a sponsor for today's episode, and it is Assist My Computer. Colin, have you ever heard of Assist My Computer?
I have not. Tell me about it.
Let me tell you about Assist My Computer. So companies have IT departments, and when thing goes wrong,
Thing goes wrong.
you call the smart people. You call the IT department, and they fix things. And you don't have to understand what's going on because the IT department just takes care of it for you. As a consumer, we haven't had that luxury for years to have our own IT department until now, because Assist My Computer is the average consumer's IT department. If you have a PC, a Mac, phones or tablets, even gaming consoles, you can call Assist My Computer and they will fix your problem, sometimes even remotely. And you don't even have to drop it off, they don't have to physically touch it, but they have all kinds of monthly plans. It's great for families, college students, all that stuff. So we're gonna put a link in the description, check it out. Assist My Computer is pretty awesome. They know their stuff. And they can help you. They exist so you can compute on.
Hey, that's their slogan.
That's their slogan.
So thank you to Assist My Computer. With that being said, we put out a couple feelers on the interwebs for questions relating to Star Wars, because we said that we were going to do a Star Wars episode, and we got some questions. So we're not going to do the pick a thing out of the thing. I will say the question and who it's from, and then we can discuss it and give our input and opinions. This is all of these questions are related to episode 6 and previous.
Okay.
So nothing related to episode 7.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
we don't want to
want to
spoil
ruin anything for anybody.
We don't want to spoil anything. All right, guys, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. First question is pretty easy.
Okay.
It's from Joey Gotti, and it says favorite moments from episodes 1 through 3.
Ooh.
Favorite moments.
I already know. You hate the prequels.
Let's not be
Right,
negative.
No, we've had this discussion
guys,
before.
if I may, pod races, lightsaber battles.
That's not even a little bit
That's
true
not even
for both of us.
close.
So let's go.
Not
Do you
even close.
have a favorite moment?
I just think episode 3 obviously is the best one out of them all, and just to see, Anakin actually fall to Darth Vader and how that happens, it would have to be one from episode 3. The other ones just kind of sucked, I thought. I mean, the episode 2 was okay.
We're gonna alienate so much of our.
I'm
audience
just
in this
saying.
show.
I'm just saying. Okay, there was good and bad things about the prequels. All right, and the moment that sticks out in my mind the most is right before Obi-Wan and Anakin fight, and they're having that kind of standoff, and they're going back and forth, and he almost basically kills his wife. That's pretty good.
The part where they're just staring at each other and they're kind of talking with their eyes.
Yeah, they're talking about where they're standing, and then obviously they can't be friends. Or
That's the
whatever.
part.
It's over, Anakin. I have the high ground.
I have the height. Well, that was a little.
That's later. That's at the end.
Is that you're talking about the part where Anakin's something about betrayal?
Yeah, and he's talking about the his new empire, and then Obi-Wan's you're acting freaking crazy, Anakin. I don't know.
That's actually a direct quote.
A direct quote. Yeah, he's
freaking crazy.
You're acting freaking crazy, Anakin. Yeah. I don't know why you're acting this way. It's the dark side. It's making you crazy. Okay.
That was a good moment.
That was a good. I always liked it.
What about you?
Well, as soon as the question was asked, I immediately thought to episode 2, when Obi-Wan is doing his detective work and he goes to Camino, and they said, you want to see your army? No idea what they're talking about. And they walk on this catwalk, and as soon as you're seeing like everyone like getting ready, like people training, people grabbing gear, and then it gets to the end, and you just see this massive army marching.
And then you
Just
see,
thousands.
and I was just saying, you've seen that army before. You know what that is.
If you've seen the original trilogy before you saw the prequel, you go like, this is it. This is the beginning of the end. This is right here. Mm-hmm. And they're fighting for democracy and for the Republic, but it doesn't stay that way. Like this is
the Empire.
And I wish they were playing the Imperial March at that point, but instead they were playing whatever the
Dun, 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 dun,
yeah
dun,
the
dun, dun,
Trade
dun,
Federation.
dun,
I didn't like that
dun,
song.
dun,
And they
dun,
should have
dun.
done but to me that was like one of the more powerful moments.
Yeah, definitely.
That wasn't totally the Empire at that point, though, because they were
Oh, no.
technically.
Well, no, but it was the beginning. It was like,
It was
this
the
is where it's going.
stormtroopers. I mean,
Remember,
like they're not the stormtroopers
The
yet.
Empire didn't just take control; it was elected
Right.
control. It was democracy chose the Empire.
Right.
Which sounds like something going on
Political
right now.
commentary.
Perhaps later.
What about you, Ben?
Oh man! All right.
Sorry, wait. I'm so sorry. We didn't introduce you.
Oh,
yeah, who is this
I
person?
said your name, but we didn't introduce you. Can you tell us who you are and a little bit about you and what you do and why you're here?
Okay. My name.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, I had nothing prepared for this. My name's Colin. I am a student / logistics expert / writer and filmmaker, and I'm pretty much a walking Wookiepedia page of Star Wars.
He really is.
I can just tell you anything you want to know about Star Wars.
That's great.
He really is. It's incredible.
So I was asked to come here today and give my thoughts.
Great credits, by the way. You should keep those credits your entire life anytime you're introduced to do anything.
Sure.
Especially the walking Wookiepedia page. I like that. That rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, it's not even a page, a browser.
The whole site.
So I
welcome
know
to Colin. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
I
So I just
know
want to make sure we.
that you're gonna hate me for this.
I'm
You
probably-
especially gonna hate me for this. My favorite part of the prequels, though, are just the choreography for the lightsaber battles. Because here's the thing, and you disagree with this entirely. I'm actually
He
not
said
sure
that
how
he
you feel
hates
on this.
all of the prequels.
That's besides the point.
Which is
the fact
you
is,
said hate.
the fact
Said
is,
you would spit on it.
the fact is, we were able to see Jedi in their prime and Jedi when they're well trained. You know, Luke is a Jedi, sure, but he's not well trained at all. He can't fight like a Jedi, and Darth Vader is a walking, machine at this point. He can't fight like a Jedi once did, like he once did as a Jedi. So what I really loved was being able to see that prowess and that skill in fighting. Episode 3's battle between Anakin and Obi-Wan is my favorite part.
And the
in
greatest
entire
thing about
prequels.
that one is that they are so mimicky each other, obviously, because,
Obi-Wan trained him.
groomed them, so, the form that they're using must be the exact same thing, and you can see that in the battle.
And what else we're seeing is the parallels between Sith and Obi-Wan and Anakin. I know you have something to say.
Yeah, it's a
We're
lot.
seeing the parallels between Sith and Obi-Wan and Anakin. The idea that, with the Sith, the apprentice must overtake the master to fully succeed. And you've got, Obi-Wan is Anakin is trying to kill Obi-Wan in the ways that Sith believe. So it's already happening. He's already a Sith at that point, completely.
The choreography for the lightsaber fights in the prequel trilogy, they're super fast-paced, extremely acrobatic, intense, and that's what they wanted. That was supposed to be this is the prime of the Jedi, and so they're extremely adept at what they do. But if you actually look at the prequel trilogy, the original trilogy, they actually use the specific style kendo, the sport where you get the bamboo stick.
Right.
It's basically samurai fighting, essentially. That's what they modeled. The original. That's why it's so slow, and it's a lot of posturing and standing there. And if you look, they hold everything out in front of them properly. And
It's almost like one shot, one kill kind of moves.
right.
That they try to
It's
do.
you sit there and you're just going to contemplate how you're going to go at it, and then you go at it. Whereas with the other, it was just feeling they just kept
Which-
flowing with it.
Here's my point to that, because we actually talked about the lightsaber battles before,
Yeah.
and I said I was 13 when Star Wars Episode 1 came out, and I remember as a 13-year-old watching that lightsaber battle and thinking, this is dumb, I don't like this.
Well, yeah.
I'm sorry, but
what he said.
that's my opinion.
He
but
just
my
said that.
my reasoning
He
was
just said that.
my reasoning
Okay.
was wait.
Let him talk, Ryan.
Sorry.
Calm down.
Sorry.
My reasoning was first of all, I was a huge fan of the original trilogy, and then seeing that, and then my reasoning was it seems unnecessary. All the flipping around and the twirling the lightsabers and everything seems unnecessary because, like, to me, the style in the original trilogy makes more sense. They're very reserved. They're not expending unnecessary energy. They're not doing anything unnecessary. It's the one shot, one kill type idea. Like, they're not flipping around for no apparent reason.
I'm gonna step back here a little bit. Okay, so you have in character a 19-year-old, a teenager holding a sword, and then you have like an insane maniac with horns on his head holding a double-bladed sword. If you notice, Qui-Gon, the aged master wise, is not flipping around and doing crazy things. He's just fighting.
He's still twirling his sword.
So you have a
though.
teenager, a crazy guy, and a middle-aged wise guy fighting, and that was the product. I think it makes complete sense.
I think. Well, who didn't gasp when you saw?
I never-
Ball's double lightsaber.
I'll be honest.
That freaking came
They
out.
spoiled it though.
They spoiled it.
In the
They
trailer.
spoiled it in the trailer.
Oh, they
Yep.
did. I guess. Yeah.
I'll be honest, I never thought about it that way.
And not to mention,
That
you
it's a
gotta
young kid and a crazy dude. But
and you gotta
if
remember,
he's a Sith, he's got to be at least a little bit, like, together.
he's letting the Force flow through him. That's what they're doing when they're twirling around like that. It's both misdirection, which is part of the whole martial arts that the prequel trilogy fighting is based off of. It's a lot of misdirection. And also the fact, lore-wise, they're letting the Force flow through them as they fight. They're not thinking when they fight. They're just fighting.
I mean, like, I
They're
get
letting the Force take hold.
I get
Man,
it.
I like
It
the
just
way
seems
that
like
sounds. I like the way that you.
it just seems like the Force would
Force
be
take the
like
wheel.
flip around, and then when Yoda flips around when he's fighting Dooku and like bounces literally on the walls, the ceiling, another wall, and lands on the
But
same
that
exact
was-
spot he was standing.
Yoda
that
was
seemed
completely
dumb.
unnecessary.
Yeah,
I
I agree with
liked
that.
Dooku's because his was supposed to be the dueling side of lightsaber combat. If you
Dooku
notice,
was
like
the best.
his lightsaber.
I
His
didn't
lightsaber
like
was
him
cool.
as I
His
didn't like
lightsaber
him
was-
as a character. But
No, but his
That's
battles.
fair.
Yeah.
But his was a curve, and that's just specifically for dueling. He's not going to be going crazy everywhere.
Right,
It's just
right.
twirling the lightsaber in front of him, just trying to jab. But yeah, Yoda was completely unnecessary. In fact, I almost rather that he never did have a fight scene.
That's what I said.
When you have
I
the
agree
power
with
of
that.
the Force, you do not need.
I would have rather him always been like the reserved, and I would have liked them to keep his like quirky eccentricity going
Yeah.
in the prequels, because I loved that about him. Like, he was this wise person
Senile.
that put on this like eccentric front, and I thought it was brilliant. But
It's almost
I'm
like
not gonna lie. There was something kind of. When I was watching it, the reaction of the Yoda fight in theater was actually pretty positive. Because
first,
it was,
of
it
course.
was, it
I
was,
was a
it's
teenager
kind
and I
of,
was
it's
into
kind of
it.
fun to watch. But then you do get that feeling like, well, that was kind of unnecessary.
yeah. Okay, so my favorite episode, I think, from episodes 1 through 3. My favorite moment from episodes 1, 2, and 3, was when they were the gladiator type scene in the pit, with Anakin and Padme.
Yeah.
And all that stuff where they're fighting like those beasts and stuff like that. Like, that was pretty cool looking.
That's where episode 2 starts, right? That's the
Yeah.
beginning of the movie.
Yeah, that's right.
Sure. So I thought that was pretty cool. I liked that moment from the prequel trilogy. Okay. Episode 2. I has the dumb today. Chad Viss asks, is episode 1 really that bad of a movie? Really, in all caps. Just briefly, just succinct answers from all of us. What do you think?
You got 30 seconds. Go.
30 seconds. I think that it's the least favorite of mine, but just like in anything in the prequels, it has its moments that there's some good things. The one thing that I hate though, the one thing that I really hate about that is the very ending where they're switching between 4 freaking things. That was so, I understand they were trying to create tension or something, but there was just too many things I didn't care about. It was hard to focus. Like the only thing I really cared about was the lightsaber battle. I didn't care about the stupid battle of the Gungans. I didn't care about that. It was just like they were switching too many things. That's the one thing I thought was it was distracting. And I didn't like the pod race. I thought that was overdrawn. That is where I hate the pod race.
I like the pod race too.
Everybody else loves, everybody loves a pod race. I'm like, this is foolish. This could have been a 5-minute thing.
It was obviously
stretched it out to 20 minutes.
It was obviously a plot device, but it was very exciting.
What about you, Josh?
I would say, yeah, it's a bad movie, and not necessarily because it feels the most Disney, I think, of all of the movies.
Yeah.
And I didn't really care for that. But there was no clear protagonist, in my opinion, in that movie. There was nobody for me to really get behind and relate to. And so it was really hard to attach myself to any of the characters because there was no clear person at the forefront that we were supposed to be rooting for, get behind, or relate to. And so altogether, I had a hard time getting into that movie because it wasn't clear who we were supposed to be relating to the whole time.
That's a good point.
Yes, I think it was a pretty bad movie, but the part that stinks is it didn't have to be. I watched an edited version of it recently on YouTube, and they edited out all of Jar Jar's lines. Instead, they just put in this gruff, alien language, and then put subtitles in there, and the movie was infinitely better. I'm convinced now that Jar Jar killed that movie, and also, like you said, the prequel trilogy just lacked likable characters. You cannot connect with any of them except for R2.
It's true.
I don't think it's the worst prequel movie. I think Episode 2 is, despite, I know I'm fighting against
I'm close to
current
agreeing
on
with
that
you
one.
on that.
But I don't think it was a terrible movie. I don't think any of the prequels were terrible, and I feel like I had this epiphany last night, or 2 nights ago when I was watching Episode 1, is I enjoyed watching it. It was fun, and yes, there were moments where I was just like, okay, what's on Facebook right now? And I turned away, and then I'm like, oh, cool, pod race, and I watched that for a little bit, and I'm like, all right, what's going on now? And it had its issues. Lucas didn't know what he was doing. He went in blind, completely oblivious to what people want. But he did have interesting parts. He expanded on, the Sith with Darth Maul and seeing Sidious kind of controlling him. That was cool. Like I said, the pod
finally
races
really
were cool.
see that was really
right. Exactly.
It was just to the point where there was there's not really anybody that you can relate to. It also, and him not knowing what his audience wanted. It also seemed like he was trying to shotgun the content of the movie too, because there was political stuff, action stuff, kiddish stuff.
And I fully agree that there was just no hero
didn't seem
to attach to.
And it's completely awesome to see this galaxy far, far away that we grew up loving, and we get to see it in its its heyday.
Right,
it's
exactly.
Shiny, it's pretty. There's a working government that everyone likes.
right.
It's fun.
Do you think, real quick, do you think that Episode 1 gets so much hate because it's Star Wars?
Because
do you think
if
it wasn't Star Wars,
but
do you think if it wasn't Star Wars and it was just its own thing and we could separate it from Star Wars, people would think it's a better movie?
No, people would think it's a worse movie.
I think it's worse. I think it's that bad of a movie that just because it's Star
I think
Wars,
it's a bad movie, but it's
still allow
interesting.
it. We're still willing, getting ready for.
So Star Wars,
It's
Star Wars is its
definitely-
only redeeming quality.
It's
basically.
definitely not a good movie. It's just not a dreadful movie. It has its points, like Brian said.
It has fun points.
That's fair. All right, next question from David Mann. It says, in Episode 4, is Obi-Wan still hiding info from Luke when he acts like he doesn't know the droids? Has he legitimately forgotten? Or is it Lucas not having his story fully realized? The latter would be contradictory to him saying he had already written the whole story.
May I start this off?
Yeah, let's move with this.
Because I just watched Episode 4 Saturday. I've been watching them preparing machete order 4, 5. Well, I added 1, so 4, 1, 5, 2, 3, 6. And I noticed this.
Can we call it the Ben order?
Watching 4. No, don't do that.
Ben Shetty.
Ben Shetty.
Ben Shetty.
Ben Shetty? All right, fine. I noticed this when he seems to not know R2 and C-3PO. So here, it's a two-part answer. 1, yes, I think totally that he is still withholding truth from Luke. I think at one point he expects to tell Luke more truth until he realizes that he's supposed to die on the Death Star. He realizes that when they're heading to Alderaan. You see it in his face. He's like, oh crap, here we go.
All the wrong places.
All the wrong places.
Now, the second part of my answer is Lucas didn't have the story fully written. He screwed that up. And that's just how it is.
If he did, he probably redid it so much that he didn't realize what he was doing. Like maybe he had an idea, he had it written down, but he went back to it and totally changed it.
But as a Star Wars fan, as someone who's read some expanded universe content, it's your job to fill in those gaps. Mm-hmm. Because Lucas doesn't have control of the expanded universe, as fans do. And that's just how it is. Lucas, if you're watching this, it isn't yours. It never was yours. It was yours in your mind. Then you released episode 4. Well, it was A New Hope back then. It was just Star Wars.
We thank you for it, but get out.
We thank you for it, but it's not yours anymore. The moment you release it, it's not yours anymore. Yeah. And it's our job as fans, if you're that big of a fan of it, to fill in those gaps. Mm-hmm. To go, oh, well, clearly Lucas screwed up here, but what if Obi-Wan is gonna tell Luke the full truth later? He's gonna reveal it in time, but then realizes that his time's basically run out.
So you're, as a fan, you're basically just saying that the way that you kind of justify it is that he was going to tell him, but he doesn't want to tell him about the father, and he doesn't want to tell him about all that. So he's just kind of keeping.
It's a can of worms. You tell him. You tell him, oh yeah, I know R2 and C-3PO. First of all, R2 and C-3PO don't remember him.
Yeah.
And second of all,
R2 wouldn't R2 kind of remember
R2 does say that he belongs to Obi-Wan.
He did have his memory wiped.
I thought it was just C-3PO.
They both did.
Yeah, they both
did. Okay.
Look back at the prequel trilogy and. Expanded universe aside, we're not counting that, just the movies. How often did Obi-Wan actually spend time with R2 and 3PO?
That's true.
In fact, R4 was his astromech.
Yeah. I think he would have known.
They were together.
They all look similar for the most part with different color schemes. So how can they tell?
I see what you're saying. Apart? They were together, but they didn't spend one-on-one time a lot in the prequel trilogy.
Right, and
they were associated.
So I mean.
Was there a time where
but he would have to recognize C-3PO.
He's also old.
Yeah.
If Darth Vader was on, wouldn't Darth Vader did he see C-3PO in the original trilogy? Did he created?
Anakin was around.
It's kind of the same problem, right?
He was in the same vicinity as C-3PO, but keep in mind C-3PO had new armor, new plating at this point. Yeah. He didn't look like C-3PO. He looked like just another protocol droid.
In episode 3, he had.
Are you saying that all droids look alike?
Oh, he did? He got
episode 3 and 4, he has the same.
Yes, I am saying all protocol droids look alike.
Oh my god.
That's a droidist.
That's a droidist.
I'll say, watching that movie as a kid and even as an adult, it always seemed to me that Obi-Wan was just not telling everything. So, just like he said, Darth Vader killed your father, and basically Luke was peeling an onion back layer at a time. It seemed like he was just withholding information until he felt like Luke was ready. And then, like you said, he realized that he was going to have to let himself die on the Death Star. So he never had a chance to tell Luke all of that stuff. And then Luke is just kind of finding all this stuff out as he goes.
Right. And
then Obi-Wan is there to guide him. So it didn't... I don't doubt that Lucas probably didn't have the entire story worked out the way he said he did. But it also was very easy for me to believe that Obi-Wan was just withholding information.
I got to tell you right now, when he said... Even when I was a kid and I watched it, and Obi-Wan was saying about how when I met your father, he was an accomplished fighter pilot. I was always expecting the prequels to start off with him being at least 19, 20.
Right.
That was where I was thinking this was so you could relate him more to Luke in some sort of way, I thought. when I saw episode 1 and it was that stupid freaking kid. Not to say that the kid, the actor was, the kid is a kid, whatever. I'm not blaming the actor. I'm blaming just the story in general. I hate it when kids save the day, even if he is the freaking son of the Force. I just can't stand that whole thing.
Well, there's an interesting, I don't want to call it a theory, but now that they're all out, people say, well, it should have been like this. Someone said that Obi-Wan Kenobi should have been the main focus of the prequel trilogy.
Yeah.
It would have been stronger, and also show the friendship between Obi-Wan and Anakin. There's no friendship there. It went from we don't know you to father and son to we're friends for a little bit, but we're gonna spend most of this movie apart from each other.
Right.
It should have been that they were friends in 2 and 3 the whole time.
I just said that yesterday. We never really get to like Anakin at any point. Like
until you watch the Clone Wars, actually.
He's an annoying kid. Yeah, but I haven't seen that. But he's an annoying kid in the first one, and then in episodes 2 and 3, he's extremely arrogant and not likable. And you never get to see Anakin as the good person that everybody talks about, like the amazing, hope of the Force and all this stuff. Like you never get to see him as that person.
Well, the thing is that we've established that he was already going down. It's been the path has already been set before him.
Yeah.
He's already kind of destined to go down the Sith path, just the way that his attitude is and everything like that. We've talked about this, but when I see the one thing that I can say that I liked about the prequels is that when he threw the Emperor off, I feel a little bit better. Personally, I feel like I know the character a little bit more of Darth Vader, that's more fulfilling for me. I could say that he's not gonna let he going back to his wife and everything like that, and why he originally got into the dark side, really, other than the fact that he was always kind of lusting for power, but to save his wife and stuff like that. Seeing that, I feel like he doesn't agree with me. I feel like there's a little bit more weight, even though it wasn't done perfectly, the prequels. It did give me more of okay, I like this. I like how that moment was a little bit better when he sees his son, being tortured by the Empire, and then he realizes, oh man, this guy's been pulling my strings for way too long. And then I thought that was it added to that moment to me, for me.
And honestly, the Clone Wars shouldn't justify poor writing in the prequels. No. But it's like a Band-Aid. It's like, if you watch the Clone Wars, I've said this before. Watching the Clone Wars, it's going to be. I want to watch episode 3 immediately after the Clone Wars, because in the Clone Wars, you believe the friendship between Obi-Wan and Anakin. Anakin's voice actor is miles ahead of Hayden Christensen. First of all, you believe that Anakin is this charismatic, wonderful Jedi that everyone talks about and everyone loves. You believe that he has a Padawan named Ahsoka Tano. You believe all this stuff, and then now you see this friendship, and I'm watching the Clone Wars, and I'm like, Obi-Wan and Anakin episode, yay! And then you're like, oh wait, no, they're gonna break up in episode 3.
They tried to make Anakin seem like he's good at saying all these profound things, except when he's talking to Padme, and then he kind of just sounds like a 15-year-old.
He does too. Like a bad Bieber
No,
song.
They should have
so in love with
They
you.
should have just put a lot more fun between Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
There are moments where there's a little bit of wit going back.
There's some banter,
but it also feels forced.
We're
We're
out of time.
All right. So Mike Owen asks, the guy that secured our Star Wars tickets, says, what starship would you want to pilot and why? Millennium Falcon is not an option because everyone wants to pilot her.
Oh, I know this.
So I'm assuming we're talking even the smaller things like X-Wings and whatever, just any of them.
X-Wing all the way.
Would it be an X-Wing?
That would be my answer.
My answer is based solely on having played Rogue Squadron extensively. And I'm going to say the Naboo Starfighter. Those things are quick, they're agile, and they've got super maneuverable.
They look so dumb.
They look dumb, but they would beat an X-Wing in a heartbeat. They're very agile. So that would be my answer.
I have 2. Slave 1, first of all. Boba Fett's ship is the coolest thing ever. But if I'm not going to do that one, Imperial Super Star Destroyer. Come at
I
me,
mean,
bro.
why not, right?
Come at me, bro.
Want to
The
pilot
size
the
of
executor?
the size
Is-
of what is it? Brooklyn? The size of Brooklyn? Those
Yeah.
things are.
Does one single person pilot the executor? I feel like it's that whole bridge.
Yeah, remember there was that
Yeah.
one guy at the front window with the steering wheel. Remember?
No, I
And
missed
Vader,
that.
like,
I
walks
just
by him,
watched
like,
Empire
5
last
times.
night too.
Yeah, it's like quick little.
Why does he have a steering wheel?
He's just in the front
it's
with a
the
steering wheel.
size of Brooklyn.
I think it's one guy, and everyone else in that room is just telling him how to do his job. He's like,
There you go.
look, we're not gonna hit anything. We're in space.
Hey,
You're going into an
can we
asteroid
stop at
field.
Coruscant on the way?
Are we there yet? Vader just keeps coming up to the bridge and asking, "Are we there yet?"
No,
And he goes
Lord
back to
Vader.
his,
And then
he goes
he
back to
kills
his
him.
meditation chamber.
have to pee.
You think that there's okay, real quick. You think that there's like a death, Darth Vader death, like cleanup crew? Because he seems like he kills.
He
a
just
lot
kills
of,
people
he just
everywhere.
is like
Somebody's gotta pick
bad-
that up.
I heard an interesting thing. that
Somebody does come and get that one guy off the bridge.
Every
Kills
time
him.
he's choking somebody, see, Vader doesn't actually know how to choke someone. People always pretend that they're dying, and then they pretend to die and he leaves because they're afraid if the choking's not working, he's just going to pull out his lightsaber
Yeah,
and
just
kill
cut
him,
him
which
down.
will work. So they pretend that they're being choked, and
And then they just
So the
they
force choke is
hire
an
him
illusion.
as like somewhere else on the ship.
Yeah, they just repurpose that person.
I'm going to go work in the detention level because I know he doesn't go down to the
That explains it because I thought I saw Piet somewhere else in another scene
Well,
after he died.
yeah.
I was like, wait a second.
So what would you pilot?
Can I be a Jedi in this situation?
Sure.
A
This is
Je-
make believe.
A Jedi starfighter.
Yes.
Jedi starfighters are super cool because they're half operated with the Force. So
Remind me which ones those are.
those are the ones in episode 2 and 3. 2, you see Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan's
It's the triangle.
Okay.
Oh.
Also called like an A-wing. Do they call
Yeah.
it?
No, A-Wing is different. Return of the
They
Jedi.
look a lot similar, don't they?
A-Wing is like, it doesn't come to a point. It's kind of just like
Oh.
fat and then it comes
I know which one you're
The
talking
big
about.
thing is in episode 3 in the opening battle.
The thing where he puts on the
Yeah,
thing.
they've got the things on their head because they operated partly with the Force, from what I understand. Which is
That's cool.
It's
That is
that's
pretty
just
cool.
awesome. Like
Yeah.
Like
That would be cool.
they're literally Luke in an X-wing, but just all the
Yeah.
time. So they're super fast. Their reflexes are off the hook, and just I think that'd be awesome to fly around.
That's cool.
One more question.
One more question. Tyler May asks, in episode 4,
All right.
Vader takes Leia prisoner, spends an ample amount of time with her, near her, yet he has no clue, seemingly, that she is his daughter. When Luke comes around, he makes the connection almost instantly. I don't know if that's true.
Well, he didn't.
He doesn't at all. He makes out with her. Actually.
Luke doesn't make the
He
connection.
makes the
almost
connection
no.
instantly that it's her sister.
Vader,
Vader
makes the connection. That
Instant.
Oh, that.
Son.
Oh, I'm
Oh,
talking about. Okay.
Right? Is that what it is?
Okay, so that would make more sense. Vader makes the connection to Luke almost instantly. They're twins, so shouldn't he have felt something from Leia?
Not necessarily, because in the expanded universe, Leia.
I said Leia.
Yeah, you did that.
They actually say Leia in Star Wars too. Some of them do.
Leia was in the expanded universe. She becomes a Jedi, but in the movies, then there's a separation now. She's not a Jedi. She's not Force sensitive.
No, she is Force sensitive.
She is, but she doesn't know it. She's never used it. That she knows of.
Okay, yeah, that's true. They do say that in Return of the Jedi, but I'm thinking that's what they were gonna try to roll with, but either that or he knows. He just doesn't fucking care.
It seemed like to me.
He's just like, yeah, whatever.
This has crossed my mind, not like to think deeply about it, but it seems like to me, like Vader was always more connected to Luke because Luke was like the next Anakin. And so Luke was so much stronger with it than Leia was, although she had that, like, you know, your father has it, your sister has it, blah, 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 or my father has it, my sister has it. And so while Leia was Force sensitive and could manipulate the Force if she was trained to do so, it seemed to me that they just were saying that like it was much weaker in her than it was in Luke. And so Vader was much more attuned to Luke because not only is it his son, but he's very, very Force apt, I guess.
Okay.
I could buy that.
I could buy that.
So he wouldn't necessarily pick it up from Leia.
We
As
could
much as he
we
would
could
from
say
her.
that. I mean, if
Just
it might be one of those things that we're because we're fans with filling in the blanks here, but
I honestly,
But you're supposed to
I
do.
think this is just a gross oversight by Lucas, to be honest. But
I mean, that's fair. I like
It's
for me.
just like he didn't realize Vader was Luke's father until episode 5, because everyone knows he didn't.
You know, I kind of like the idea that he knows that it's his daughter, and he's just that ruthless. He's
Just that cutthroat.
That makes it, but like,
Especially because I think in a sense that if he does know, she reminds him of Padme.
Yeah.
And he,
So he
remember,
hates her that
he
much
didn't
more.
leave Padme on good
But wait a
terms. He
second.
has a very
Wait a
intense
second.
hatred.
I just
No,
got
man.
something in my head.
He was so mad when she died, though.
Right, but he
She
still
didn't
wasn't.
crack.
He still didn't like her.
She didn't crack like when he was supposedly torturing her. Like she didn't actually crack.
No.
There probably could have been numerous of things he could have done to make her crack, but she didn't crack.
Correct.
So you think he just stabbed her with a syringe? It didn't work, and
Yeah,
I
or
think
like
he
he was
didn't
like
torture her.
and then like everybody, and then like what's his name? I'm sorry, what was the
Grand Admiral
Grand Admiral, whatever his name?
Tarkin.
Was like, why is this
Grand
taking
Moff.
so
Grand Moff
long?
Tarkin.
Like
My
he's
mind.
actually in a lot of the conversation, he does say, "It's like, why is this taking so long?" And he's just like, "She's too strong" or something like,
So maybe he's using the Force to make her think she's being tortured, but
or like, no, she's just not. He's not. He's
going easier on
He's
her.
going easier on her because he knows.
that's possible.
And I mean, that makes sense too, because Grand Moff Tarkin was the one that had the idea to blow up her home planet, knowing that maybe that would make her talk.
Right.
That wasn't Vader's idea.
I mean, Vader is the most bad person on the in the whole galaxy. If he wanted to make somebody talk, he would make somebody talk.
That seems true.
Yeah. I'll buy that. All right. So the verdict is then
That's
that if are you good on this one? Can we verdict this? Because this is a good question.
Yeah, this is.
The verdict is that he did know, or he felt at least some sort of connection, and he did not want to
He felt
actually
something.
hurt her because of that.
Maybe
which is
he-
why she always
maybe-
got away.
Yeah, maybe it was because of Padme, like for some weird reason, reminded her or him as of Padme, or something like that. But there was like some sort of little connection where he was like, I can't hurt this person as much as I usually.
And if you watch episode 4, when he first catches her, he's basically scolding her like a dad scolds a dog.
Yeah,
He very much is.
Yes, he is.
You're part of
A rebel
and a traitor.
and a traitor.
How dare you? Go to your room.
That's what I'm
wasn't-
gonna say
yeah.
to my daughter one day when she like
Part of a rebel alliance.
And I am very angry with you, young lady.
Disappointed.
You can't go to the mall.
I think what we've learned out of this whole conversation is that suspension of disbelief covers a multitude of sins.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes,
And the point here is that if you are a Star Wars fan, then like if you're actually a Star Wars fan, there's a lot of things that you can forgive because obviously we have. And looking at some of this objectively, it's easy to see that not all these movies are fantastic movies, but they're still fun to watch because they're Star Wars.
Yes.
So we hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. I think we enjoyed this episode. We're all still friends after this episode, which
That's
is great.
Still good. Yeah.
Oh. Pod races, lightsaber battles.
Freaking, we're not friends anymore. So until next time, guys, thank you for joining and watching. If you haven't seen Star Wars yet, go see it. Do yourself a favor. It's going to be great. We're very excited. And we will see you guys next week on We Say Things. In the meantime, if you guys have questions or topics that you want to submit for We Say Things, use the hashtag We Say Things. Hit us up on Twitter at NMG_inspire and on Facebook at facebook.com/NMG1994. And we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.